Welcome to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening on AM 1460 and FM 101.1 The Answer. So happy to have you joining us on our final broadcast day of the week. We do Monday through Thursday around here. That's enough for me. We'd love to expand it out, but that's enough for me. And we finish up the week with Media and Education Day. And today, we're actually going to be covering both of those. We like when we can do that. Sometimes they're separate subjects. But what do we do here at the Peak? Well, our job here is to say the quiet stuff out loud about our region. That's our number one goal, is to bring local news talk, investigative reporting to the region. And we've been on air here at Salem Media in the Springs and the Pikes Peak region since January of last year, 2024. And as we move into 2.0, this is really exciting for us because, anybody out there who's ever started anything new, you have a vision, right? And then it meets reality. And you see, how do you get there? How do you keep going? How do you just, like my wife likes it, just keep swimming, right? Like from Finding Nemo, just keep swimming and get through it. So from the very beginning, we've had a vision of being a full-blown news organization. But that's very, very difficult to do these days. Even the big guys are cutting budgets. And so how do you do a startup? Well, we did it. We did it anyway. And we went ahead, got on the air with local sponsors. And then citizen journalists and interns started joining us because that was our business model from the very beginning. So exciting because this week, we finished up our first citizen journalist class. 12 students were in it, and now they're being released. So very soon, by the end of this month, they're all supposed to turn in stories. And so you're going to start to hear what I've been talking about, which is local reports. I know we haven't been doing that, but, we had to start somewhere. We had to get going, but now we're starting to cruise. And what we're doing today is bring on someone probably should have been on a long time ago because he's part of basically every single show that we do, and that's Matt West. He's a young man who is really prolific across the media industry here. He works here at Salem and is officially our show producer here at Salem, but he also does independent production. And so on the program today, we're going to be bringing on Matt. We took him away from the board outside of the booth and bring him in here in front of the mic, which he's also very used to because he does his own radio program and podcast. And we're going to be talking today about the independent video production industry in our region. Is it good to get into video production? Is the industry thriving? Is it oversaturated? What's going on here? So both, if you're thinking that you might want to be involved in that, or as a lot of businesses do, to hire out and do video production, what's the difference between hiring, a professional or your cousin with an iPhone? And that's something I've been in this industry for a lot of years, a lot longer than Matt. And that's always been, and we'll talk about that. That's always been the case, but ever more so as really awesome technology gets into the hands of people who have no idea what they're doing. and so anyway, we'll get into that later because Matt and I are both in this industry. So Matt, thanks for finally being on the show after over 200 episodes here.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing me on. And, it's kind of, you ever been the passenger in your own car? It's kind of weird, right? That's what I feel like sitting on this side of the board right now.
Are you drunk?
Hope not. We'll find out.
Because that's the only time, not that I've ever experienced that, but not that would happen. But anyway, as we move on into this, I want to promote a couple things before we get into the whole of the show. One is all of our sponsors, and it's just wonderful, and we're adding more all the time, but we still have availability. So if you're a local business and you believe in what we're doing, please go on thepeak.news, look under the sponsorship area, and become a sponsor because that's really, that's how we keep the show on the air. It's how we pay the bills, and that's such an important part of this, that local businesses are supporting it, but not influencing the editorial, because that's where the news media really went wrong. And a shout out to our platinum sponsor, Springs Dentist, Dr. Craig Summer, Holistic Dentistry in Colorado Springs, our family dentist. We love holistic dentistry, and he does so many different things, more than dentistry. So check them out, Springs Dentist. And lastly, We have a great event coming up 2 weeks from today, April. What month am I in? April 17th. We're doing a Passover Seder. I'm a Messianic Jew. Every year, past 3 years, we've put on a big Passover Seder event. Really, really cool. Love you to join us. It's happening at the Pinery this year on April 17th. Have until April 10th to sign up and go ahead and do that. I'm sure it's going to sell out. Go to thepeak.news/events, our website, thepeak.news/events, for more information and register today. You're listening to The Peak, and today we're talking about media and the video production industry. We'll be right back. Okay, call. Okay. I have to read this article. Shoot.
Learning things I don't know when I'm on that side there. This headphone jack is wonky. Yeah, that's intermittent. We'll fix that. Hey, see, that's cool. That's why I get to be on this side of the board today. Oh, and
Wait, I gotta focus on this.
Okay, you're good. Oh, I suppose we'll do some social media right here. What do you think? What do you think? All right. Hey, check it out. Going to be live. Well, actually live right now in a commercial break on AM 1460. The Answer on the Peak News with this gentleman right here.
Hey, hello.
Goldman. Yeah. Be sure to tune in right now. And if you can't do it now, catch it on the podcast.
Okay. I need a pen. Yes.
We only have one of the lines working right now, so I can't have them both on at the same time.
Let me take a look. Let's see if we can get one extra one on here.
I tried.
I asked you to check this. That's why I told you an hour ago.
Is it going to work, or do I have to tell the client?
Okay. Hey, John, we're having a problem with one of our phone lines, so we need to drop the first guest that we're having on before we can bring you on. So we're going to be calling you a little later and bring you right on the air, so please prepare for that. Period. Sorry about that. I just found out about the tech issue. Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to us on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer. And today is Media and Education Day, and we're mostly focusing in on media, but in this headlines segment that we do, we're focusing in on education, and there's no dirty laundry today. In fact, there's two really, really awesome news stories. Well, we'll see. There might be one little one in the middle, but we have two really awesome local stories. First, in the education area, both of them is about Parents Challenge, which is this wonderful ministry that helps parents who cannot afford really school choice for their children. And it was started by a local entrepreneur, businessman, developer, Steve Schuck and his wife, Joyce, 25 years ago. And they've been receiving some grants recently that are wonderful, lots of grants to help their organization in order to provide this in a broader way. And so we've asked Steve Schuck to come on the program today. Steve, are you there? Hey, you also, and Steve, we had on the show about a year ago, early on when we launched to talk about it. He won an award as, I think it was like Businessman of the Year or something like that at that time. But I know Steve, his heart has been in education and educational choice for so long. So Steve, tell us a little bit about Parents Challenge and then these new developments with these grants. Okay. Well, hey, Steve. Hey, Steve, we just have about a minute left. I wanted to hear about these new grants and how you're planning to expand Parents Challenge. Sorry about the limited time. And how many families do you serve, or will you be serving in the short term, in the near term? Wonderful. Okay, and if people want to get to you in order to give or in order to take advantage of the program and apply, where do they go? .org? Parentschallenge.org. Okay, Steve Schuck, thank you so much for what you're doing, and congratulations on all these new grants. Absolutely. Okay, that was Steve Schuck. Coming up in a moment, we're reaching out to him right now, is former Mayor John Suthers, because another great story that's going on here, and I'll introduce it while we're getting him on the line now, is John Suthers, former Mayor John Suthers of Colorado Springs, is now the chair of the Daniels Fund, that very large organization that gives away a lot of money. And they did some amazing thing on April 1st of giving away scholarships. I want to say, just full disclosure, we and our educational foundation has actually applied to the Daniels Fund. I don't think that John Suthers as the chair even knows about that because other people handle that, but I wanted to let you know that. Do we have John Suthers on the line? Hi, John. Thanks for coming on. So I'm letting people know about this really fun story. I know that you do this. You somehow surprise the students every time because I've heard about you doing this in the past. But the Daniels Fund organization from Bill Daniels and giving away money for education and for ethics and wonderful work that you do. But what's really great is that you take students and give them even full ride scholarships to college. And you had an event on April 1st where you brought in a lot of those applicants and they didn't know what it was about and you surprised them. Can you fill us in on that story, please? Must have been a lot of fun. Yeah. A fortune, yeah. And how do students go about applying? We have about a minute left. So what other types of work does the Daniel Fund do? And just real quick, finishing up, well, it's danielsfund.org is the website, but why did you choose after leaving the mayorship here in Colorado Springs to become the chair? Okay. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on short notice. Thank you for all that you're doing with the board. And we hope to have you on for a whole show soon because we want to catch up with you. Thank you, Mayor John Suthers. You're listening to The Peak, and we'll be right back. Okay, you pulled it off.
That was fast.
Oh, my God. I don't know that I can do live radio anymore.
Yeah, and what I think there, by the way, that wasn't necessarily a problem with the lines. It's just we only have one outgoing line in that studio. The other two are like call-in lines. lines. They don't ring out.
Okay, he would have been happy to call in, but I've been told, and we've done it before, where we had 2 call-ins, but it was that simultaneously.
I know. I don't think it was ever truly simultaneously. If it was, I mean, a while back, the phones were different, but they've been this way for, oh gosh, a few months. Really, this is just we're waiting on some new equipment, which would give us that expanded capability.
Okay, just know, like an hour before I went in, I said I have 2 very important phone calls separate, and I need you to be ready to do that. So I didn't. I gave warning.
Yeah.
So to find out
I think
minutes before the show that we couldn't.
I think the problem was just that I don't think James or myself realized that they were, simultaneous calls. We can take 2 back to back.
No, I said 2, and I need to call the other. And anyway, it worked
great.
out. But
James got some lightning fingers in there, made it work.
Oh, God. Okay, great. Thank you, live radio. Awesome. Okay, Matt, we're back in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I need to blow my nose.
Okay.
Full send on the phones. That's the only thing I get. Got some great spring allergies going on, so I'm great at sniffling on the mic right now.
Where's Steve? I mean, that's pretty good having both those guys on one.
That was great, yeah.
Call-in segment. I mean,
Oh, excellent. Yeah, no, that was great.
I started wearing them like, I started going like, crap, why did I schedule both of them? Like, as I needed, if Steve went long and I cut into John, I was like, that's not going to be good.
Yeah.
So I needed, when Steve started to, that's why I hate radio interviews, because you got to cut people off, but it's just part of the animal rather than like,
well,
okay. So do you have your bullet points for this?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're back on in a minute. So I'll give you, out of 4 minutes, I'll give you 3, 2, 1, and 30.
Okay.
And then finish that up. So this is not an interview. This is just you
this
monologuing.
Is monologuing.
If you finish early, I'll ask a follow-up, but take the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, goodness. This is hard what we do.
Gets the adrenaline going every time. Yeah, you can do this for years and years, and there's always that little bit of adrenaline still when you hit that mic button to go live. Every time, I think. Just a little bit.
Well, Johnny Carson, who did his show for over 30 years, said he felt like nauseous before he walked through the curtain every night.
Wow.
Yeah. Now he did a monologue. Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening on Media and Education Day here on AM 1460 and FM 101.1. The Answer. And if you were with us for the last segment, this is what I love about local radio. And, I'd rather have the guys in the studio, but when you're asking really important guys for a few minutes on the phone, but, you get to know people in the community when you go out there. And so when something happens, rather than just reading off the paper, you reach out to the people and you say, hey, do you have time to come on? And it was wonderful that both Steve Shuck and former Mayor John Suthers gave us the time, 2 people that have been, whether, you can think about them, whatever you want. Of course, people in politics, you have all kinds of opinions, but people who have gotten up and done such major things in our community, would that I would have that level of contribution in our life that they have had, whether you think it was positive or negative. But thank you to both of them for being on. So we have Matt West, owner of Western Film House, and our show producer here at Salem Media and for the Peak. And in this hour, we're talking about the independent video production business in our region. And now I'm going to turn it over to Matt, and he's talking about why, even though you might be competition to him because he just loves the industry so much, why you should get into media now. Matt West.
Well, and I won't let it go too much to my head because you have me coming in right after John Suthers now. So yeah, I got to not let that go to my head. But no, the media industry is really interesting right now. And I think this is really the time to get into it. I mean, so, even say 10 years ago, maybe more, and maybe Chaim, when you were just getting into media,
1,000 years ago, yes,
give or take a few, a millennium or two. You had a couple of things if you wanted to be an independent guy, if you didn't want to go get a job at a production company. And if you're an independent guy, you probably did, maybe some weddings. Maybe you did.
I did that.
Yeah, maybe you did some TV spots as well, local TV spots. And there wasn't a lot much beyond that. But then YouTube comes along circa 2006. 2006. And, guys like me who got into media traditionally, even after really YouTube got big, kind of have always griped about, well, why did I go get a professional media background if there's 12-year-olds on YouTube making Minecraft videos that get 1 million views, right? Why did we do it? And, there's a little bit of bitterness there. And I guess I'm here to say that even though there is some of that bitterness there, especially when I see a Twitch streamer with like 30 million viewers, I'm like, what? But even though there is that, now is the time to get into media. And now is really the best time to do it because the barrier of entry is so low now that you can get in and get the experience you need. You might say, well, the barrier of entry is low. How can I excel at it? How can I perfect this in a way where I'm comfortable charging people money for it? Well, with that low barrier of entry, you can build those skills very easily in a way. Well, I won't say easily. It takes hard work. But you can build those skills very adequately without having to go necessarily to a professional broadcasting school like both you and I did. We have a professional broadcast school background. And so you can get into it that way. Now, that lower barrier of entry means you can get your feet wet that way, but it also ties into things like equipment. If you're wanting to get into this business and doing anything video related, equipment's expensive. Cameras are thousands and thousands of dollars. The lenses are thousands of dollars. But the YouTube world now and the vloggers and the TikTokers, they have created this world where companies make content or make equipment rather for content creators. That is such a great tool to get your feet wet if you want to get into media production. It is excellent. So, and you can get it at like Best Buy now. You don't have to go through a special camera support store or anything like that. And, another thing that really helps this out is the information now. If you want to learn anything about production, you Google it. I mean, really, how do I do this? How do I color grade this type of footage? What's Rec 709 mean? What does all of this mean? These color codecs, you can learn everything about that. A great example, I switched to DaVinci Resolve after 10 years of it using Adobe Premiere. And within a few weeks of Googling it, I got back up to speed on a whole new editing suite after 10 years of using a different one. So it just goes to show now's the time to do it. Get in there. If you're passionate about it, get your foot in the door, get good at it, put the work and the sweat equity into it, and then come work for me.
So, it is true. And, I got into this industry 40 years ago, I guess, when I was, high school, started doing video production and stuff. And back then, I mean, it was so expensive and we had the magic pixie dust. And then about 20 years ago, all this stuff came in. But as we'll talk about in the next segment, being a professional still means being a professional. Just because you have a scalpel doesn't make you a neurosurgeon. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to The Peak. It's Media and Education Day. We're here with video producer and so many other things, Matt West, and we'll be right back after the short news break. Cool. Good
Sweet.
Segment.
Thank
Good
you.
energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully I didn't get into the weeds on
No.
on like DaVinci. I wanted to mention that though, because that was I was thinking, how do I give a good example of that? You use an editing suite for 10 years and then you switch to another one and get up to speed in just a few weeks now, no classes or anything.
Yeah, I'm editing Avid that I learned.
Avid's old school, but it's cool.
It's a really robot. I don't know if you've ever used it, but I mean,
I used Avid for audio. I have Pro Tools.
Okay.
But I took an entire semester in Pro Tools. And again,
Okay.
the YouTube tutorials are there now. Like, do you need to take a whole semester in it? Not really. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do it. I mean, you just got to start doing it. But yeah, but I mean, Avid was the only, even when I started using it, you did offline.
Yeah.
The quality wasn't, well, the hard drives were too expensive.
Yeah. And they're not that fast anyway then.
They would take two 2-gigabyte hard drives and stripe them together so that they would share even odd fields to get the speed. They still weren't getting up to broadcast quality at that, or they were starting to. But we would sell those drives, those 2 gig, because Avid had to actually take them put they took wiring out, they customized everything.
So they were
back
like
then,
specific.
it was hardware based. Well, they
Yeah.
would take drives, but it was hardware based. Everything you bought from Avid, they had hardware equipment. It wasn't just a piece of software. That changed everything in Avid.
Yeah.
But it was $2,000 a hard drive for a 2 gig. It was $1,000 a gig, and so you couldn't afford to, do real time. So you would do offline resolution, and then you'd give the cut list to the editor,
Yeah.
who would do a tape edit.
Wow.
And this was back in, when was this? 80, 86. But they were the only ones that came close to broadcasting.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to AM 1460 and FM 101.1 The Answer, and so happy that you are. And I hope that you're not just here for me, because, there's other up-and-coming talent like, I don't know, Charlie Kirk and Larry Elder and Hugh Hewitt. Nice, guys that are, and Matt West. on the weekends. You can't see on the radio, but he was pointing at himself. But no, I'm joking around. These guys are, top of the industry that Salem has. But they're limited by the fact that they're national. So we come on here Monday through Thursday, and we give you a local show with local people and local issues. And the ads you hear are going to be local people that you can go to their business and you can meet them too. Pretty much all of them are friends of mine. And that is the beauty of local radio, is that we can cover the local topics quickly. Like, who else is going to talk about, like we did yesterday, the city council elections, and bring on a brand new city councilman, like we did with Roland Rainey yesterday, like on a moment's notice. Hey, can you come to the studio? Yeah, of course. So this is what we love doing, and we'd love you to join it and be a citizen journalist, or if you're a young person, an intern, be a guest. If you think, we have on our website a place for you to apply to be a guest. We're always looking for great local guests, as well as being a sponsor. So that's all on our website, thepeak.news. And we'd love you to, become a citizen journalist. We're working with a brand new team of citizen journalists. You'll start to hear from them this month, even possibly as guest hosts. So if you've been listening to me, spin the plates and set a vision and do this on and on, it's coming together, folks, and we love it. And please be part of it more than a listener. But if you just say, I want to be a listener, at least tell your friends. Check out the Peak podcast or the live broadcast, 3 to 4 p.m. Monday through Thursday here on The Answer. Okay, back to Matt West, owner of Western Film House. He is our guest host, or our co-host and guest here today. He's also been here since I've been here at Salem. Even though he's a young guy, he has a lot of experience. I've been working here at Salem doing audio production here and producing shows, but he also has his own video production company. And we're talking about the independent video production business in our region. So Matt, at 27, how long would you say that you've been in this business?
As far as charging people money for it, that's one thing, but actually doing video production and learning about it, I've probably been doing since I was 9 or 10 years old. I was interested in it that early. And my mother noticed that and said, here's our old camcorder, go knock yourself out. And I made some really terrible things that probably should never see the light of day. It's like your first radio air check. Yeah. I'm sure you've got yours somewhere.
Yep.
Mine's burned and launched into space. But having said that, yeah, I've been doing video for a long time and media for a long time. I've been interested in it for forever, really. And in terms of professional radio, I got into that right out of college and, found myself in the door of a couple of radio stations and really cut my teeth doing that and just learning the trade. I mean, it's a big passion of mine. I love it.
And so what are the main things you're involved in, day to day or week to week in production? What types of production?
It could really vary week to week, but here at the radio station, I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'm doing a lot of commercials, for example, but I'm also doing a lot of the back end in terms of, and by back end, I mean actually programming our automation systems to do things at certain times. Anytime you hear a news break, you hear a liner, something like that, that had to at some point have someone like me go in and tell the system, hey, I want you to do this now. Hey, go play Charlie Kirk now, right? Stuff like that. So that's a lot of what I do here as well behind the scenes.
But what about the video production? Also working with Jeff Crank, which you've had for many years.
Yeah. So no, with Jeff has been great because I worked with Jeff going back to when
And if you're not placing the name, he was on the radio here for 14 years doing talk radio, and he's
Correct.
currently our congressman, U.S. congressman here in District 5.
Yeah, and I got a gig working as Jeff's producer back when he was on KVOR. And that turned into, after Jeff and I both left KVOR, that turned into being his podcast producer. And his podcast carried on into this thing. It's called American Potential. It's an amazing podcast, by the way. And that
he's not doing anymore.
he's not doing anymore.
Congressman,
No. They said, yeah, you can't do this and Congress at the same time. So, but that turned into that. We moved that podcast onto video. And when they did that, he's like, hey, my radio producer, Matt, does this video side business too. Ever since I was in college, I was doing video on the side. And so that's how we got involved on there. And that really sprung. I was doing video as a business before then. Again, like local TV spots, social media things for different people around town. But that was really big. That really was able to help me get my business, at least in front of a lot of different people in this podcast sense, which was national, which I just feel amazingly blessed and really thankful for Jeff and everything that he's done. He's been a big part in helping me through that.
And that also caused you brought video in here. So, radio has become video, television is radio, like all the media is getting mixed around. But, in town, what type of productions do you do for private entities, for businesses?
It's really anything you need that has video production, from basic social media videos. A lot of businesses now are leveraging social media harder than ever because they're getting a huge return on that. You run a 60-second vertical reel on Instagram or TikTok, and you sometimes see 60, 70,000 views on some of these, even for local businesses. So a lot of people do that. I do stuff like that. I've really also, in the past, I've done weddings, I've done TV spots, like I've said, I've done corporate interviews, things like that. Really now, I'm focusing hard on podcasts, local businesses doing podcasts about their own fields too.
People, and I did wedding videos way back, and it's like, it's considered the bottom of the eco chain. But I got to tell you, you got to do a whole day with one take.
Yeah.
And that is more pressure, but you get fed. And you work in a tux sometimes.
You hope you get fed, by the way.
I always made sure I did.
Okay.
But you need to negotiate better. But it's really hard. But you cut your chops doing a production that goes on for 10 or 12 hours from the time you leave your house and come home. So props to anybody out there that's recording memories, that's getting it out there, whether it's business or personal. But every time you pick up a camera, you learn something. But today, and this has been happening for a while. It happened 20 years ago with software that dropped the industry, that everybody could finally edit. But now we have iPhone cameras that do 4K or 8K video. I mean, which is stuff we couldn't have touched even 5 years ago without, a huge investment. Why should people, what is it about not just having the equipment, but having the skills, especially when it comes to business videos? Because there's such a temptation to do it yourself or hire your cousin.
And I look at it this way, especially with business videos. If you're a business owner, you want to communicate what your business does to a client, and you want to communicate that you're a serious business. Now, anyone can have their nephew come along, film that video on the iPhone, right? And that's not going to look like a very serious video at the end of the day. It's not. This is your business you're talking about. This is your bread and butter as you present it to your clients, and you want this to be good. And that includes, really, you're paying for the videographer. Think of it this way, almost as a consultant at this point. On lighting, on camera placement, audio, all of these different things.
Scripting, which is before you ever pick up the camera, there's so much work to do.
And then the editing on the back end of that too. A good editor can really make or break a video. Even if you've got a beautifully shot video and it's terribly edited, it's not gonna have the effect that you want. So yeah, if you want to share some family memories from a birthday party, your iPhone's great for that. But if you really want to communicate what your business is doing and let clients know that you are also a serious business, that high production value is key.
Yeah, because corporate video people, they know how to learn about your business. They interview you, they develop the script, develop the shoot. So much work before you ever pick up a camera, because that's where the money is. Once you bring the crew in and everything else, there's a lot of money. So, I'm in the business. I understand this. I've tried to do it on the cheap myself. But in the end, very often, just like with so many industries, you think you're doing it cheap, it ends up being more expensive, and you don't get deadline, which generally with ads is so tough. So if someone, now let's turn to the people that want to get into the industry that you're encouraging them, but it seems like an oversaturated industry. So how do you differentiate yourself in this business?
I think one of the big ways to do it is because there are a lot of people that are like, hey, I'm a videographer, I'm a photographer. I think when you put yourself out there and you really demonstrate that not only are you technically capable of doing the work, you are willing to take on that work, go above and beyond for, say, your client, for example. You're going to put that sweat equity into that project. You're going to give it your all. That is really going to set you aside from a lot of these folks who come in maybe just as a hobby for now. And, oh, I'll make a buck or two doing it. Oh, my video will show up like maybe a year or two from now. No, you need to be able to put your devotion into that and really show that you treat this as seriously as the people who are hiring you treat their own business. I think when you take the production side of this, you take the technical side and apply that business aspect to it, really take that business mindset and put that forward, that's going to push you above a bunch of the crowd who just watched a 5-minute YouTube tutorial on how to do this type of shot. And maybe you're still doing that shot, but you're really the only one taking this seriously and really putting that client first.
So, and I would suggest to anybody who's in the industry, do a contract, because very often it's the client who delays the shoot because they don't get you what they need and they don't say because they're busy running a business, and then you get blamed and you get cost overruns. So put everything in writing and let them know that if they don't get things to you by certain deadlines, they have to pay more or whatever, and you'll see people that are in tune with you so that you can do your production and keep your schedule. Got a minute left. Tell us about Western Film House.
Western Film House, that is my production company. I started out as a small owner-operator, just doing my own videography. I've really expanded this now to being a production house. That's why it's Western Film House. It's a production company. So whether you need social media advertisements, whether you want a podcast, whether you want it to be live streamed, full live switched, live switched events, things like this, I'm able to provide that. I'm also able to bring people in. If you've got an idea for a shoot and I say, I don't have enough people for that. Well, I will go get those people. I'm the one who's going to coordinate that. And we're going to go get your shoot done, and it's going to be an awesome video at the end of it.
Yeah, and I actually will string for Matt. So give him business, and then he can hire me on the side.
Yeah, there you go.
Being in radio, it's not making only the top guys get wealthy at this. The rest of us do it because we just love it so much. Well, Matt West, thanks so much for that. If you would like to reach out to Matt, M-A-T-T at westernfilmhouse.com. That is his email, Matt at westernfilmhouse.com. When we come back, one more segment with Matt. Matt actually does his own radio broadcast here and podcast on cars called Automotive ADHD. So we're going to be hearing about that, why Matt is so passionate about cars and how he has fun with it on the radio. You're listening to The Peak, and we'll be right back.
Did I fluff it too much, or is
no? It was good.
Good.
It was good.
Sweet.
Okay, so this is. Oops, how long is it? He's coming in to tell me about the rant. I assume because he's not there. Hey, rant.
It's 2:12, and he's talking about disaster prep.
Okay, on today, and you took out anything that said I'm running for city council or mayor. Did you say I ran for mayor? Is that still it? Yeah. Okay. If there's time, because it's sort of weird, I ran for mayor and lost, but he doesn't, if he was actually doing it live, he would also mention he just lost for city council. So if you pull both, it doesn't make it awkward. So if you have time, sorry, I told that to Seth yesterday, but not you. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I have to talk to, Jim, we're moving forward. There's nothing we can do, but you heard about that where he was really promoting himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I happened to be gone all that week. So I didn't catch it. And nobody.
And I haven't really been recording his rants much lately either.
But
it's not been me.
I thought he was just saying, I'm running for city council. But as his campaign manager warned me the night of Taste of the Peak, and I know, hey, we're on the live stream. So, but when I had him come up on stage, because I just wanted him to tell everybody he had announced he's running, and then he started campaigning. And afterwards, I'm like, Jason, wasn't what the event was about. He's like, you gave a politician a mic. Like, what do you expect? They're going to do stuff. And then that didn't click to, I give a mic to a politician every single day. So I never sat down with Jim. There's some part of me that's thinks I should pull you for the campaign because we don't want to come off like we're endorsing somebody, but all, just say you're running for city council and that's it.
Mm.
But I think over time he just started using it as campaign ads, and
well, he did get, what was it, 2,600 votes, and I had him on my show a few times, and at least I would like to claim that all 2,600 were from my show.
that would be fine.
I'll claim that.
What I want to claim is that none of it was from mine, because
I'll take all of the
no,
claim for it.
because we don't want to be seen as endorsing a candidate.
Well,
And,
right.
and there was, but Jim was part of the show before we started, and that was part of the deal. But I gave a politician a mic and didn't tell him the limitations, and so I owned it. I actually went last Thursday when I heard it, or not last Thursday, Monday when I heard it for the first time. I came on the air and apologized right after and owned it. But
Yeah.
I just don't want us to be seen as that. So anyway.
Right. Well, I'll take
Okay.
credit for all of his
Okay,
votes. How about that?
so we have 5:15 here. So I'll give you cues.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman, and we're here on Media and Education Day talking about the video production industry with Matt West, owner of Western Film House, and our show producer here at Salem for the Peak News. And Matt does a program here, Salem Weekly, called Automotive ADHD. And so as we really like to not be monolithic with our guests, we like to learn about different things from them. It's why we have them on different segments doing different types of communication. And so, here we'd like to do a fun segment. Matt, tell us about, your inspiration for this show and where people can hear it and what they'll learn when they're on it.
Well, and I guess I omitted this part from the beginning, my backstory when we talked about that. See, I didn't actually get into video because I loved it. No, I'm kidding. I got into it because I wanted to afford car parts because I'm a car guy. And a radio salary doesn't afford that many car parts. And anyway, no, I'm a huge car guy, gearhead, first and foremost. And
racer.
Yeah. I do a lot of grassroots racing. I do a lot of time attack racing. It's like road course type stuff. So it's not like straight line drag racing. Now, generally, I'm better at breaking the car than I am at winning the races still. So I'm still working on that. But no, Automotive ADHD came out as an idea that, gosh, I love doing car stuff. My friends say I talk about it a little too much. You should start a podcast. and so I was working in radio full time. I started the podcast, and now the podcast has actually become a radio show. So we've sort of gone full circle, or maybe we've sort of regressed. I'm not sure.
And when's it on?
It's on 9 a.m. Saturdays right here, AM 1460, The Answer. And you can catch it re-airing a couple other times throughout the weekend as well. The other great place to catch it is YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Rumble. It's all on video, by the way, too, because I'm a video guy, too.
So when people tune into the show, what's the basic? I mean, is there a basic structure, ethos, or anything, or is it truly ADHD?
Yeah, well, it can be truly ADHD. Jim Miller coined the ADHD part as automotive disassembling and hoarding disorder.
Okay.
But having said that,
Funny.
no, it's if you love cars, and even if you're not a diehard gearhead like me, I talk about some gearhead type stuff. I have a lot of race car drivers on. I have a lot of big industry guests. I had the CEO of Edison Motors, which is an electric truck company, on recently. And it's such a great interview. And so I really spread it out. But if you're even a car guy, or maybe you just, hey, I like my car, I have a car, I drive it to work, tune into it. You'll find something interesting, something relatable, something entertaining on there. Again, whether that's news, information, or interesting automotive guests. We do it all on the show.
So what do you want people to know, our listeners, to know about? If you were going to do, a 2-minute spot right now of your show, what would you say to our listeners?
Well,
regarding their
questionable
cars?
mechanical advice is included free of charge. That I don't charge for that part. And no, it's a ton of fun being able to do the show. And, if you tune into the show, you'll really get something, I think, that's it'll be entertaining. And also, we have a little bit of fun on the show. I do, full disclosure, invite Jim Miller on my show.
Okay.
Semi-regularly.
He'll be on next.
So,
Okay.
So
Jim is working his way into every part of the radio station.
Yeah. I'll claim all of the votes he got, by the way, as the couple of times he showed up on my show.
We'll take credit for none of them.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
But no, Automotive ADHD is a lot of fun. And maybe you've got a family member who really likes cars, or someone who's interested in racing. We get so involved with the hill climb every year. It's a ton of fun. I mean,
So what's a topic that you just covered recently?
oh gosh, well, we cover a lot. Lately, we've been getting really political with the tariffs. That's one of the things.
Okay,
The automotive tariffs.
because that's
Yeah, like I said, it's a news show. It's kind of like a magazine show, if you will. We delve into a lot of topics, but we really get on, politics as they relate to cars. How do they affect car enthusiasts? Another thing we talked about were toll scams here in Colorado, easy toll scams. And I maybe made the conjecture that I think Easy Pass itself is a scam. I can neither confirm nor deny that on this show, but we go into a lot of stuff like that, and it's a ton of fun. You should join us there. It's live 9 a.m. Saturdays.
okay, or on podcast on your favorite podcast network. Well, Matt, for 30 more seconds, what would you tell people who want to get into podcasting?
With podcasting, it's very similar to what I talked about with video production. It's very saturated, but if you can do it very well and you can just put passion into it and put some enthusiasm into that passion and enthusiasm shows through, even if you're not as experienced. It's a great opportunity to do that.
Okay, Matt West, listen to Automotive ADHD, and also reach out to Matt on his email at matt@westernfilmhouse.com. And now, as we've been mentioning, Jim Miller, just a guy in the Peak Rants. Today, Jim's talking about disaster prep.
All right. Yeah, I got a little too used to the question answer format we were doing in the seg before, and I didn't go long enough on my show, so I had to stretch a bit there.
Okay. No problem.
No,
it was good.
No, the show's a lot of fun. I try to think. I never have a good elevator speech for it because we do so much different stuff on the show. I guess that's what I was trying to. That's why it's called Automotive ADHD. Right. That's why it is. For some reason, tens of thousands of people listen to it on the internet, though. Can't imagine why. So.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Anything else? We're wrapping up here. Is there anything else you need me for in this last segment?
No, I just closed. No,
okay.
You're not. No. I'm going to run out of here and record the Passover spot, new one. So hopefully, I don't know if LA James is here. If you can just, I'll get one good take, and we need to just throw that music on that you have.
Yeah.
And I'll tag it with the Papas. Yeah. I just need to cut it down. I mean, I can't figure out where to cut it down. I have too much content.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to do that. So
That's fine. Yeah. Just.
Are you here Are you here later?
I'm here through Crosswalk. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be here.
So I'll make it really easy because you already have them. Well, Do you like the music? I sort of caught the music piece on the spot, but
Yeah, I think the music's fine to leave it.
okay.
I think. Well, didn't we have a Papa's spot that had some Italian music on it already?
Oh, that was Papa's. The
Oh,
Passover
talking about
one
Passover.
has the klezmer
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
on it.
that should be fine.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, if you can cut that before you leave today, that would
Yeah.
be good.
Okay.
Because that's in V Creative and it starts tomorrow.
Yeah,
So-
I know. I know.
Yeah, yeah,
I go round the clock. So,
yep. But
and
at least you had some vacation time to kick back for. a
I
little
did,
bit.
and then
We
you
were all
come in-
guessing on where you went, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't know? Brett knew. Other
No, I
people
didn't.
knew.
No, James and I were guessing. We actually had almost like a
Well,
running
what?
bet.
So what'd you come up with?
Well, I guessed that you were actually at home the whole time and you were just telling people that you were out, so no one would bug you. That was my guess officially, because I would probably do that.
Okay.
I just want to sleep.
Okay. No, we went to the islands. Went to Jamaica.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Actually, I swear James said it as a joke.
Oh, because I had Brett knew.
Okay.
Brett knew. I just didn't want people to know that I wasn't in town and
Yeah.
things like that. So I didn't do it. And even since I'm back in 30.
Yeah.
Even when I come back and I talked about things on the trip, I didn't even mention the island because I didn't want to single it out.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to spend a lot of time down there. It's beautiful, but
Oh, wow.
yeah, I hadn't done a vacation in over 5 years, so it was
Wow.
time to go. Thanks for joining us for another week of The Peak. We're done with our broadcast for the week. And tomorrow, as always on Fridays at 3 p.m. here on The Answer, you can tune in for Dirk Hobbs and the Southern Colorado Business Forum and Digest. A couple of promos before we're done. First of all, you can win comedy tickets. We had the Oxymorons Comedy Group on Tuesday for April Fool's Day, and they're doing a local comedy show on April 12th, and we're giving away tickets each day this week on our website. So go to thepeak.news right there on our homepage, sign up, and very potentially win a pair of tickets to go to their program. Also, as I mentioned at the top of the program, this is a month, not just Easter, but Passover is here. They're quite related. And I, as a Messianic Jew, do a Passover Seder here each year. We've done these big Passover Seders, and this year we're doing it at the Pinery, the awesome, beautiful Pinery at the Hill. That's during the week of Unleavened Bread on April 17th, not the night of Passover, but during the week. For more information and to join us, go to thepeak.news/events. And it's going to be a really great evening, full meal program, a lot of fun. Very, very inspirational for you. Connect a lot of dots. If you're a Christian, to your roots, to your Hebrew roots. And we have a great time every year. But the Pinery is a smaller location than we've done it at a bigger church before. So please sign up right away if you're going to do it. And definitely by April 10th, that's the last day to register. On Monday, Business and Culture Monday, we have from the Money Museum in Colorado Springs, curator Doug Mudd and assistant museum curator Carolyn Turco. So we're going to be learning about the Money Museum then. Coming up next here on The Answer is the Larry Elder Show, so stick around for that. Go on our website, thepeak.news, to listen to our 200-plus podcast. You're sure to find something you really love. The Peak, we say the quiet stuff out loud for such a time as this. Have a great weekend. Shalom.